Welcome to Around the NFL, presented by Barefoot Wines.
From the Chris Wessling Podcast Studio, it's Around the NFL. I am a hard out in 1 hour. My name is Dan Hanzus. Got heroes all over the place here. Marc Sessler, Gregg Rosenthal, Colleen Wolfe back in the building. And how sweet it is. What's up, gang?
Hey.
What's up with you and your hard out all of a sudden? Suddenly
Yeah.
you've got constrictions.
I do.
He has an agenda, and he's going to stick to it.
Yeah, I do. I'm not in any rush. The show's going to be the show, and it's going to be excellent, as always. Due to a series, a confluence of events and rain out, the Yankees are playing in 1 hour. But we're going to do this, and then I'm going to go do that. I think the difference is when I say there's a hard out because I got to be somewhere, I actually do have to do something.
Versus what?
It's unnecessary just to
that was.
shot.
I don't know why you need. If anything, I said that I'm excited. Your Jets are doing well. I'm excited that your baseball team is in the playoffs for the 800th time.
I didn't mean that
and
as a
you turn
shot.
around and do that.
Yeah,
I
we all
didn't mean
took
that
it a
as a
certain
shot.
way.
I didn't mean it as a shot.
Why did I roll out of bed?
Just accused of him of lying regularly. So
Right.
that's a shot.
Did I? Well,
Also,
I'm sorry.
every time I've suggested that I needed to go somewhere, I went somewhere.
Greg, you can respond to that.
I'm staying out of this. I like it when
You're a
you
coward.
two
Of
guys
course you
just
do.
get into it.
You're
It's
a
rare.
coward,
It's rare.
Rosenthal. It is good to be with the whole gang for the Tuesday show coming up.
For about an hour.
For exactly, an hour and about 3 minutes.
TikTok.
I mean, that is what the Tuesday show is every week, to be fair.
Right. You'll notice this thing will come in at the same amount of time or maybe even longer because that's integrity. That's the Zoozer.
Is that your tagline?
It's just
Like if this thing came in all of a sudden
Diabolical.
at 37 minutes, like you could be like, well, Dan's kind of looking out for Dan on this one.
Yeah.
But that's not how this is going to go. In fact, we're already we're kind of chewing the cud a little bit here up top, but that's fine.
You've allowed us
It's a Dan
to,
Hanzus shout out.
You've
Thank you,
allowed
Paul
us to
Rudd.
stretch out during the intro, which
That was-
tells me that you do have integrity to some degree.
An original point of contention, very early days on the Around the League podcast.
Right.
I think Dan and I would both butt heads a little bit because I would say, like, let's get to the football stuff, and Dan would be, like, a little more chewing cud up top. That was, like,
Right.
one of the original sort of back
Sounds like
and
another
forth.
W for the old Zeuser.
I know.
there.
What's the common advocacy about the opening of the show? People love it. They love the they don't want to just get
Yeah.
straight to the
It's my
robotics.
favorite part of the show.
Yeah.
You know, it's like come for the football, but you're staying for your friends. Your friends in the whatever earpieces you use.
Friends with
Sort
integrity.
of a captive audience, too.
Incredible
They don't
amount of
really have a
integrity.
choice. They want the football.
They could just do, like, the forward 30 seconds thing, but that would be rude.
Before we get into all the football stuff, I do now want to offer a formal apology to you, Mark, that you don't have places to go sometimes and you just want to get out of the building as fast as possible. That is not necessarily the case.
I think both things can be.
I mean, necessarily really took a little bit of the wind out of that.
Feels
apology.
like
things
growth.
can be accurate.
All right, let's get to it. Coming up on today's show, it feels like now that we're 6 weeks in, there are some teams, players, coaches, whatever, that things have not gone to plan. So we're here, again, beacons of integrity as we are, to hand out some pep talks for those who need them. That's a service, Connie.
We provide it.
And it's
We're
entertainment.
great at it.
Also, the Thursday Night Football preview as we look ahead to Week 7, the Saints at the Cardinals. We got Russell Wilson in prime time, and then we're going straight to Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray. His name is in prime time.
At least they're different.
a
We
toughie.
haven't seen them. They're more
Different
interesting.
humans.
They're more interesting.
That's progress.
Gotta love this season.
struggle
I mean,
bus.
it's a minor disaster unfolding. I think that's good television.
I
That's
agree.
fair.
Yeah.
That
like,
only goes so far, though.
It only
No,
goes so
I-
far, but they're not just simply boring and bad.
Right,
There's an element of chaos with the Cardinals that I enjoy.
Yeah, you cannot say, and maybe last week is an exception. It is with the Cardinals. But for the most part, they've had somewhat entertaining, insane games, whereas the Broncos just, like, suck the life out of everything.
All right, let's get to the Broncos first. Let's hit the news.
Hey, how about if you get a little taste of Landon Dickerson coming right down your throat?
You know, I Landon Dickerson was a guy that I vouched for ahead of the pre-draft process in 2021. I thought he was a real impact player and absolutely has been.
He's been a nice draft pick on one of the best offensive lines in football. Your Eagles.
I am pro him.
Pivot.
You vouched for him based off of the draft research that you did.
And Collinsworth on a certain level does as well.
You wanted the Jets to take him. Who did they take over him? Do you remember?
I think, what was his,
whoever
21?
Their second-round pick was probably,
maybe, I don't know. I forgot. A lot of things have happened since then.
Let's move on.
Yeah. Let's get into the news. Yes, Russell Wilson and the Broncos offense once again went down in flames on Monday Night Football. You could check out the reaction to that with Gregg Rosenthal's Monday Night Football recap of the Chargers' overtime win over the Broncos. We knew Russ had a shoulder issue going on. Now he let the media know that he also has a hamstring issue, and it leaves his availability for Week 7 against the Jets in question. Greggy, and I think I saw it reported by Tom Pelissero, I believe it was, on our air right before we came on, that it's being labeled a significant hamstring issue. So I think this is all pointing in a certain direction that could lead to Russ missing a game, perhaps more, and maybe a reset for Denver in its spiraling offense.
All right, their backup quarterback's Brett Rippon. I don't know about a reset. I'm surprised. I guess I will hold judgment because usually if you finish a game in the NFL, you play the next game. It's just how it almost always works, and he did finish that game.
Although we're going to get to another quarterback in a bit where the same case is happening in Washington.
Right.
Go on.
That's absolutely fair, and maybe a reset wouldn't be bad for everyone involved. We're at the point.
Broncos like, this is a video game. We could reset this. Let's do it. Reset.
I mean,
Nintendo cartridge.
That said, they would fall further and further, out of the mix potentially. But I don't think their quarterback play would get too much worse. We're at the point where it doesn't feel fun anymore to be hitting on how bad Russell Wilson's playing because he's kind of at the level that he has a pretty strong case as the worst quarterback in the league. Like he's in that mix with whatever Baker's done this year, I guess Davis Mill, I would put him below that where he's struggling that much where maybe a week or two off could help things.
Yeah, I've been wanting to believe in the concept of a turnaround for Russell Wilson, and in the evidence we're getting, it becomes more grim. And it sort of seems like, we got all these quarterbacks that are playing into their 40s, and that's what they're announcing they're going to do when they're in their 30s. And I am watching Russell Wilson just wondering, how long does this go on for if this is the version of Russell Wilson and the body, and this is what he's dealing with physically? Because it's been every game there's an announcement about physical issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but also when you look at the fact that he said it got him in the fourth quarter and everything was feeling good before that, and it's unfortunate. And I think that I knew something was up in the post-game press conference when he left out a Broncos Country Let's Ride. He just finished his presser and walked away, so maybe this is pretty serious.
Maybe he heard the feedback from a week ago. That
Broncos Country, let's ride.
A week ago, it's been months.
I get it, but last week after the loss, which was the low point of the Broncos season until this week's loss, and he did the Let's Ride, people gave him a lot of grief just for that, for doing it in that spot. And if nothing else, we know he's active on the socials.
Oh, very. In other Broncos drama news, Melvin Gordon had his big homecoming in Los Angeles. The team that had drafted him did not go to plan. In fact, he was benched in the game, essentially. He ended up with 3 carries for 8 yards, and the second half and overtime was filled with sad sideline shots of Melvin Gordon. Here's what he had to say in the locker room after the game.
I'm not going to lie, it hurt a little today watching. They threw up the little clown logo with my face up there, and I noticed it all, and it sucked.
Hey, game day operation of the Chargers. Clean it up.
Bad job.
Clean it up. What are you putting, especially know the situation. I don't know when in the game you're putting the clown face on Melvin Gordon, who I guess maybe there's some bad blood there. Were there things said in the media? I don't even know. But in general, I think the Chargers, that's a bad look. And for Gordon, especially with Connie Latavius Murray, he's not a guy that's an impact player at this stage of his career. him getting a ton of carries and not doing anything had to be especially frustrating.
Well, especially when Javonte Williams goes down and Melvin Gordon had come into the season with Javonte there, knowing that everybody wanted Javonte to be the guy. Then he goes down. So Melvin Gordon has a little bit of an opening, and I'm sure that messed with his head, too, coming into the season, just in general, having the way that the running back room is lined up. But then to go through against the Chargers like this, and he wasn't given a heads up at halftime that he wouldn't get on the field again, and all of the shots, it was just so mean-spirited for them to put the clown up there. I mean, I'm not a soft person. I love taking shots at other people, but it just felt like kicking someone when they're down, especially when he was like literally. What?
It's very Philly, not L.A.
It does surprise me that they.
You can't get me with that.
You can't. It surprised me that's even in their protocol to put that up there because it is your former player, and like I mean, I don't remember there being bad blood, even if there was. It's like we watched on the video the look on his face when he was talking to Bridget Condon. It's like, oh, this is actually a human being. I keep forgetting about that. And you're clowning him in front of a stadium of people. How funny was it?
He lost 4 fumbles, and that's the reason why he's in the doghouse. So he does have culpability why he's not playing. And I don't even think like it's on the coaching staff to have a sit down in the middle of the game to say, hey, you're not playing anymore.
Because they might have used him again.
Right. That's another option.
But also just sitting and waiting and not hearing your number at all in that spot.
Yeah.
Like the empathy I have for him.
Yeah, I do too. I think they might say, maybe not on record, that the way he was there without his helmet on the sidelines was maybe contributing to him not getting back in the game.
Kind of like making a little bit of a scene.
Yeah, because do you see that normally? Because there's a lot of players that aren't playing. They generally are kind of sitting there where they're waiting to go, and he was disappointed. He was heartbroken, I think, that he was benched pretty early in the game. It was in the first half. And then he sits there like that as if, like, I'm not going to go back in, and then they didn't use him again. It's weird, though, because he had 103 yards last week from scrimmage, and he didn't fumble last week. And that was a great interview by Bridget Condon. That was exclusive. That was on NFL Network, and it was about 2 minutes long. She took the time to really ask him and wasn't afraid in a tough situation,
Good
and that was
job,
only
Condon.
her. So
like the follow-ups were really good.
Right.
Let's move off even though Bridget did amazing work, let's move off the Broncos because it's just kind of a sad topic. Carson Wentz has to have surgery on his finger. He's going to miss time. The Commanders' quarterback is facing a 4 to 6 week recovery period, according to Ian Rappaport, after fracturing his finger. And he did. He finished that game. It was on the follow-through of a pass that smacked the hand of another player, played through it, obviously was in discomfort, Mark. But now he exits the lineup. And kind of similar to the Russell Wilson situation where the Commanders are right now, not the worst time for a break and see what Tyler Heineke can do with Sam Howell, the rookie, waiting in the wings.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a rough season for a lot of offenses in general, and I think it's definitely plagued the viewer. And for those of us that watch every team, the Commanders have becoming
humble brag.
They've been
No, you nailed it.
You just doing your job,
We're literally
Mark.
just doing what we're supposed to be doing.
I'm a professional.
They become a visually less appealing entity weekly on offense, and I got to imagine underneath it all sometimes, oh yeah, I want to get out there and play on a competitor. There's got to be times like if you're Carson Wentz, you're thinking, I'm good taking 4 or 5 weeks off from this disaster.
I don't
That's kind of the old Sessler thing where you were like, put me in a hospital for 4 weeks, nothing too serious.
Just like a
but
light
just get me off the grid.
accident.
Well, that needs to
a light
build
hospitalization.
that needs to build sympathy too, where it's like, this guy's a gamer. I can't believe he's not in the lineup.
He was the number 16 ranked quarterback on Marc Sessler's QB index.
I don't think he's been terrible. First of all,
that was shocking to me. I don't think he's been
that
terrible.
Speaks
I'm
about
with
the landscape of the league.
Also,
as much
like the
as
thing
it
when
does
you say
Carson
something
I would
like
have
that,
had him much lower.
You have to look at though. You look at the rest of that list after you get to like 5 or 7. It's a disaster.
You know what I'm thinking? Gregg, the originator of the QB index, Mark has taken over and done great work so far. How about a little special episode of Around the NFL? A QB index special.
That would be fun.
Oh, that's a good idea.
We could do that.
I like that idea.
I mean, I'm not going to do it, but you guys should do it.
I like that idea sort of
Maybe
as
right after this.
as a surprise drop, but now it's no longer a surprise.
Oh, well, we could edit it out so we still have the power.
I think either way is good.
Yeah.
people don't know when it's gonna come.
No, they don't know.
Be on the lookout for it.
They're
Maybe
gonna be ready.
People are rearranging their schedules now.
What a surprise.
More
Waiting for
ATN
everyone.
content coming. All right.
Heineke, by the way, is a little bit of an interesting choice. I thought they might go with Sam Howell.
I mean,
I'd
don't
like to
they
see
have
Sam Howell, depending on where they are in a couple weeks.
But
why
I get
not,
it. They're 2-4. They're certainly not giving up of making the playoffs, and they think Heineke's more ready right now than
They had some
Howell is.
success with him. Maybe
Yeah, sure.
Terry McLaurin looks better with him. I don't know.
It's just like a less expensive Carson Wentz who might be better than Carson Wentz.
In other news, Greg, you got a guy. His name is Tariq Woolen. He came down with the game-clinching interception for the Seahawks in a win over the Cardinals. As he came down, he landed on Marquise Hollywood Brown and busted up his foot or an ankle, something down there. Not good. He's out at least 6 weeks. So bad news for the Cardinals. He's been really one of their only bright spots on offense. And right, of course, when DeAndre Hopkins is coming back, the team pivoted quickly and traded for Robbie Anderson, the disgruntled wide receiver who was last seen being booted off the sideline by the Panthers with Steve Wilkes over there in the interim role. So out goes Brown for a month and a half. In comes Robbie Anderson, Connie, and as well as DeAndre Hopkins. Maybe, just maybe, the Cardinals get a little more juice to their vertical attack.
I'm dying to know what was said between Robbie Anderson and the receivers coach. Like, I know that I probably will never find out this information. However, I'm searching for it, and I'm working my sources, and I'm trying to find out because it's kind of crushing me. But to see him get sent off the field and then traded, like, not even, was it 24 hours later to
That's pretty unprecedented.
Arizona?
Quick turnaround.
I mean, something ridiculous had to have been said. And obviously, they had been, I'm pretty sure, shopping him before that. So that was just the last kind of straw. But the Cardinals, I'm not sure how much it's going to help Robbie Anderson arriving there. They have DeAndre Hopkins coming back this week. We'll get into the preview coming up against the Saints.
Yeah, I know Robbie Anderson a little bit, not personally, but from his time with the Jets. He's a mercurial guy. He loves ball, obviously, but can get frustrated. I saw it in New York, saw it and how it ended in Charlotte. I'm a little concerned, Sestog, that you send him to Arizona, and it's a pretty dysfunctional offense there, that you might end up seeing more sideline shots of a frustrated Robbie Anderson in the desert.
It's possible because I think the timing of his meltdown in Carolina, days after Matt Rule, his college coach at Temple, with the one reason he was there, I think, to begin with, or was still there, was intriguing. But I think if you're the Cardinals, I know everyone was just killing them when they traded for him initially, and it's like, look at
They were killing the Cardinals?
I just saw
it's
people
a
out there
logical
kind of
move.
It's I'm saying,
They really
like,
didn't even give up anything.
They're not giving up on their season, at least. You went and got someone that can help you on the outside as a deep threat. I mean, that's necessary. You get DeAndre Hopkins back.
You might get a little honeymoon, Robbie Anderson. You know what I mean? You get a little, like, I know I need to have some production here to keep my career going.
He's out in the desert.
Robbie Anderson.
The weather's nice.
He had a rough year a year ago, too. I think, and I hate to say this because I think A.J. Green's one of the most underrated players of his generation and will have a legitimate Hall of Fame case. Just because of his All-Pros. He's the least effective receiver in the NFL right now, by far, in terms of yards per route run. He's basically a starter, and he has 56 yards on the season. And they've sent him like 27 targets, and he has 56 yards out of those targets. Some of that's on the scheme, but it's not happening anymore. So any way to get him off the field, I think, is probably going to help them.
You know what I think, Greggy?
Yeah.
I think A.J. Green was basically right in that class with Julio Jones for about 8 years or so, maybe just a tick below, but he fell off so precipitously, I don't think he's a Hall of Fame guy. Which is not taking anything away from A.J., but he was so awesome. He was a slam dunk for the first 8 years, but this has been a tough close to his career.
Also, wideouts, it's getting tougher and tougher to crack the code there.
Yeah, it's a little. I tend to agree with you, so I'm not going to argue.
In other news, rejoice, Texans fans. Anybody know a Texans fan?
Yeah. I mean,
well.
Seth,
Really?
we know Seth Payne on this
Seth
show.
Payne.
I mean, he's more a media
Is he
member.
more a media guy or a Texans
I think he's.
fan?
I think he is a combination of the two.
I feel like we
You
had.
answered so confidently, and then you named a guy that works in the Houston media.
Well, but he is a fan. I
love
was
Seth.
also thinking of Stephanie Stradley, who is a longtime fan and kind of a media member too, but she's sort of like a
I meant
fan
more like
media
a personal
member.
connection with someone.
I would not say
Like
it's
some
like
also Cardinals fan.
right. When you go to a sports
there
bar, it's
anyone
probably
here?
like got the lowest team you see like jerseys
The
for.
Tiffany Simons, a former coworker of mine who I was very close to, went
There
to
you
a
go.
wedding, big Texans
We're really
fan.
scraping the
No,
barrel
I mean,
here.
she was great. And there was someone in our old newsroom. I just remember one
Oh, that
time,
guy, yeah.
like
I
where they
remember
gave away
him.
the hats,
Yeah.
and I had a Texans
Right.
hat.
It's like, oh, the people you don't need to know their names. So that's why.
Who are those people?
Just the hat
Dan?
hat giveaway guy. You know, I don't need to know his name.
Mark Perez is a big Texans fan.
Why are we doing this?
I don't know. I don't know. The Texans.
Now we're talking how the sausage gets made. Oh,
You're going to hear from like your
Oh,
best
boy.
friends in life that are all Texans fans, and you don't even know it.
Certainly. And I have deep Texan ties with
You
my
do?
wife, but there are no Houston Texans fans. The team, but there are many. And that's what I was trying to say. They're celebrating because the team announced on Monday that they have parted ways with Executive Vice President of Football Operations, Jack Easterby, a longtime favorite of the Sessler. Here is the missive from Cal McNair, Chair and CEO of the Texans. I met with Executive Vice President of Football Operations, just call him Jack, and we have mutually agreed to part ways. Sure. For the remainder of the season, effective immediately, his responsibilities will be absorbed, so corpo, by our football operations staff. We acknowledge Jack's positive contributions and wish him and his family the best in the future. That's what I want to say to my son, Jack, when he gets on my nerves. Like, I want to thank you for your contributions to this
Yes.
family
Yeah.
and wish you the best of luck in the outside world, outside of my home.
You're kicking your child out?
Well, you know,
If necessary, that's
sometimes,
how you would frame that.
Sometimes. Dogs can't really talk back, Connie.
That's
but
why I love
8-year-old
'em.
boys, they can. Love you, Jack. He doesn't listen. Mark, Easterby, we learned after the fact, had mostly been stripped of his powers in the past year. But still, he was kind of a sore point for an organization that's kind of been in transition for a couple of years now.
I think it's just interesting to see the overwhelmingly overt response to what unfolded. I think Andre Johnson, who really, you know what, when you get bad management and they don't know what to do with star players from the past, you see that she's them vanish from like events for half a decade. I mean, Andre Johnson basically said ever since Jack Easterby walked into that organization, nothing good has happened. Jalen Strong, another ex-Texan,
Wow.
had very strong words. John McClain, the legendary
let's
longtime
take
Houston
a look at the
beat
tweet
writer.
for the people watching the show on
This is
video.
all you need to know.
Yeah. Go ahead, read it, Marky.
Well, I wish I could read that from here, but
Oh.
I
I
don't have
whoa,
good
those are huge
I didn't mean to
letters.
expose you and,
You should
the
wear-
eyes.
You need
Uh,
it.
We
No,
need to get you an eye
I'm
exam.
happy to read it.
Oh, I know,
Someone
I
can
know.
read
Let's
it.
flash it up again.
I can read it off this, actually.
Oh,
All right,
all
I
here's the
said
test.
before the season I thought this would be Jack Easterby's last with the Texans. Had no idea he'd be fired during the season. As reported by Adam Schefter, there'll be rejoicing throughout
All right, now
the
cover one
organization.
eye and read the other one, the next one.
Firing Easterby is one of the best
didn't
decisions
cover
in
his
the
eye.
history of Houston sports. If the McNair family wants to make another great decision that'll be met with 100% approval, they should bring Andre Johnson back into the organization. He was Easterby's most outspoken critic.
I love me some McClain. He is a legend amongst Baylor folk. Again, my Texan connections, I've spoke with him. Good dude. He's respected and plugged in on that scene. So that is just a snapshot of people wanted Easterby out of the building, a former chaplain turned football man, and it just, I guess, never made sense for a lot of people.
He was a power hungry striver, a riser who for about 1 month 2 years ago dominated this podcast. I mean, do you remember that? There was a whole
Yeah.
month of
To the
just
point where conversations were had with certain figures connected to the
Mark
show.
was told to back off a little
I was
bit.
told to stop tweeting about Jack Easterby.
You were walking in the parking lot late at night, and a guy in a trench coat stepped out of the shadows, said, "Quit it with the Easterby."
Essentially,
and then
that's essentially
he threw the
what happened.
cigarette down, stamped it out, and just walked back into
Then
the
he
darkness.
took my glasses and threw it out the parking lot.
loved
Tires
it.
were flat.
I loved it because Mark had a visceral anger about what Easterby was doing, and it made for great content.
Well, you said it. He's a striver. He named himself GM at some point with zero football background.
Okay,
I love the the word choice of rejoicing. Everyone is rejoicing. The fact that they are just so happy and
Somebody's gotta write a
100%
book about
approval
this.
rating.
Well, the crazy thing it was like he was brought in as a team chaplain, and when you watch his videos that he would speak to the team, it's all about love and forgiveness and treating everyone fairly. And then these are the reports that come about him. He was most interesting to me, though, because he was a great example of a guy who had a lot of national reporters in his pocket, and it was very easy to see that. And they were very quiet this week when this happened. They just reported the news. They sort of just put it out there. But if you go to 2 to 3 years ago, there were a lot of little pushback.
We implore you to.
No, I'm just saying that there was just like, this is what he's done, and this is like what he's done. And it was just a very interesting look at, like, if you've got some reporters in your pocket, I think that helped him get higher in the football game. That's all.
Hey, Sessler. Psst. Jack Easterb. Forget the name. You never heard of the guy.
Footsteps walking.
It's not far
It's
from
Frank
accurate.
Zignetti.
In other news, finally, Todd Bowles. We know what happened with Brady. Hey, Connie, we talked about it on the Power Rankings podcast, which everybody should check out this week, that Bill Belichick, who had another masterclass on Sunday in Cleveland, beating up on his old team, the Browns, and tying George Halas in the career wins ranking, he didn't go to Robert Kraft's wedding. And he works for the Patriots. Tom did, and it became a big story. And he missed the Saturday walkthrough and then was uncharacteristically erratic in his passing in another frustrating Tampa loss. Todd Bowles went to the media and had to answer to questions about whether Tommy gets preferential treatment.
He works as hard as anybody, special treatment. There's been a few guys that's missed some meetings and some practices for some special things that just doesn't get publicized because they're not him. So it kind of comes with the territory. You don't worry about it too much.
Greggy, Todd's right here. Of course he gets preferential treatment. He's Tom Brady.
Right. And I don't think Tom Brady missing practice had anything to do with, like, why they lost or why they're the worst rushing team in the NFL, and why their guard can't tackle, and why Tom Brady is, like, letting go of the ball too quickly. But this is another place where just bad vibes. No one's having fun there. That seems true.
They're not fun to watch. It is bad vibes. I don't think that the fact that he went to, like, Robert Kraft's wedding and probably had, like, a glass of milk there has a major impact on his play.
He doesn't drink milk. There's no way.
Well, right. That's the wrong, but not a non-alcoholic drink. To me, it's kind of like, if you want to say he doesn't have preferential treatment or a huge voice inside the organization, why is Bruce Arians watching games from a box 45 yards up north of the seats?
I was thinking about Bruce Arians this morning when this story popped into my head about how, Bruce Arians is kind of like freelancing his assignment, more or less. The fact that he's not the head coach anymore, but we really don't know what he's doing, but he is some type of figure within the organization. And then it's like, well, Tom Brady's also been taking, like, certain liberties that you normally wouldn't see with a starting quarterback, especially Brady. And I wondered to myself, like, would Brady be doing this on a different team at a different time in his life? Or has he gotten to the point where he's kind of like, all right, well, I'm Tom Brady. I am getting special treatment.
That's partly why he left the
Patriots.
Patriots. That's the whole thing.
Right. I don't have to retire to have my personal life, too.
If he was still on the Patriots and Bill wasn't going to the wedding, Tom wasn't going to go to the wedding either. He wanted to have some more freedom to make his own life choice. Anyway, developing news.
What?
Amazon and the National Football League announced today, Tuesday, that in 2023, Prime Video will exclusively stream a newly scheduled Black Friday game the Friday after Thanksgiving Day. The first ever NFL Black Friday game will take place Friday, November 24th, 2023, already stated there, with the expected kickoff of 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. The participating teams will be announced when the 2023 schedule is released. Mark, your reaction?
The league has zero ability to chill out on its own branding and expansion. I mean, that said, it is a masterful move because think about, beside the fact that holidays don't really exist if you cover the league, that doesn't matter. If you're a fan, you're probably sitting at home if you're in America.
Oh, they exist. We just work during them.
Right. Sure. Yeah. But you're just sitting at home with a bunch of tired, bloated relatives. You're telling me a football game's going to come on at noon Pacific? Thank you. Yes, I'll be watching that. So will everyone else.
If you hosted Thanksgiving, you have an entire refrigerator of leftovers just waiting, and Thanksgiving leftovers are better than Thanksgiving Day, so then you get football and leftovers.
It's a great pitch.
Right. Yeah, I think, the only thing, because we've been working inside the machine for so long, I feel bad for, there are a lot of league employees and media people that get pulled into this when otherwise maybe you'd be spending your Friday with. It's usually a nice quiet day after Thanksgiving. But otherwise, as a football fan, that's cool. That'll be nice. That's a good little spot. Like this year, we have something amazing, which is the World Cup England-USA match the day after Thanksgiving.
Ooh.
This is not being played. This game, obviously, will be next year when there will be no World Cup.
There's also
game.
the Friday Fun Show. That's a big Friday. Maybe we're not doing
What's
the
our
Friday
theme
Fun
song?
Show that week.
Maybe you're on location.
What's the Friday Fun Show theme song again? It's like
Black Friday game.
Do we have a theme song? Oh, you mean the tick down song as the viewers wait to join?
You don't know that we have a theme song for the Friday Fun Show?
I thought that was more just like a library selected, waiting for the show to begin kind of thing, which I guess
it's
what
the
a theme
same
song is.
one each time.
But then our show starts and there's a theme song.
And it sounds like exactly like going
Friday
bad.
Fun Show
which
is especially
not
important to Mark.
Is it?
He is dialed in on the music
I
library.
gotta tell you, there are 98% of the shows that we do I have no memory of.
That's what's happening in the news. That sounds like a nice pull for a sound drop. Let's take a break, and we will hit pep talks for those who need them. All right, we're back. We have a responsibility, Colleen, to help people in need. And it is the holiday season's right around the corner, so this is fitting that we'll kick it off by delivering some pep talks for people who could use them in the NFL. Get us going.
Okay, this is great because I'm just naturally inclined to give pep talks.
That's you.
I like to pick people up
That's
when
who you
I
are.
see that they're feeling down. So this is my department.
Yeah.
So this one goes to a fan base that's really been through some tough times.
Okay.
A lot of commanders in Washington, D.C. and the Pentagon.
So, in fact, when I try and remember back, it's tough. The last time the Commanders fans were genuinely happy, I'm not even sure when that was. It's got to be at least 2 name changes ago.
Bill Clinton was the president.
Maybe
George
that.
W. Bush
So,
or Herbert Walker.
Commanders fans, I know all of your wins, well, all 2 of them, can sometimes feel like losses. But you're built for this after 5 losing seasons and more before that. But you are a resilient group with plenty to be optimistic about. Your pass rush is top 3 in the NFL in sacks. Brian Robinson, he's back. He has a chance to be a serious difference maker in the run game. Carson Wentz, he threw a shoulder at Roquan Smith. That was cool, but shoot, Carson Wentz is out for 4 to 6 weeks. But sure. Taylor Heineke is coming back, guys. And that could mean that this offense is coming back. He might get things running again, commanding again, looking great again. I've always been told, embrace competition because it only makes you stronger. Unless you're in the NFC East because they're taking a dirt nap there. So.
The word. There we go. So
forget
mean.
about the 27 penalties in 3 games. Things will get better. I know it. And if they don't, I have a gift from the bottom of my heart. I'm going to send you some of my paper bags because I don't need them anymore.
Oh, my God, this is so petty.
I believe in recycling.
I love it.
I think that we all should do that. So let's together take command, guys.
You are slightly evil.
Wow.
You are a petty, to them, those people, monster. I think you're wonderful.
Thank you. I accept the petty compliment.
This is my department.
I love
Colleen Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Like punching down. This isn't to some proud
Only
organization that's on hard times. This is to beaten, lost fans who barely know what to do with themselves at this point.
That's, I think, the vitriol and the backhanded hissing there.
It's great.
If it was going towards members of the front office, I would be like, yeah, go for it. But it's kind of just being mean to a puppy. Those fans are just.
I love it.
Listen, I love puppies, and
Right.
I'm trying to help the puppies. So
Sounds like you're like putting him in
I feel like I'm
love
loved.
really
high. You got it. Tough love,
Yeah.
guys.
All right,
Wow.
Greg, how about you?
Okay. Can I get any?
Good job, Connor.
Can I
I
get any
loved
more
it.
music? I like that.
Yeah, that does help.
That
Yeah.
was good.
A little
Yeah.
uplift.
All right, I'm going to talk directly to my guy, Tom Brady. 15 more games, Tommy. You've done this for 23 seasons, 369 starts. You've sacrificed so much, but there's no looking back. There's no looking forward either.
There are no reverse gears.
There's
in this tank.
only
Where do you look?
now. Right now. Right now. This is all that matters. Like maybe in hindsight, blowing up the personal life for this last go around. Like it's a lot to handle. Like that contract with Fox, like okay, maybe playing grab ass
Kinda
with
weird.
Terry Bradshaw is not worth $25 million a year, but whatever. Focus. Pay attention to now. The storm is behind you. The endless days of searching is in front of you, and it's all the more reason to drink in the now. On the field is where you are whole. Like maybe ease up on those offensive linemen. Yeah, they're playing pretty well other than Gadecki. Like maybe have that guy benched. Then apologize for yelling at him. Trust your protection more. Be willing to hold the ball. Be willing to take a hit. There's only one season left. Be willing to let Mike Evans go make a play. Stop throwing to Scotty Miller. That's never going to happen. It's never going to work. Get Gronk to come back just for red zone targets. Except that Leonard Fournette is probably never going to turn into Jerome Bettis. Like, expect less. You've got a good defense. You've got a hand-picked play caller. You got 15 Sundays, including the Super Bowl, to live simply and fully on a football field until life grabs your shoulders a little tighter. Watch it. Like you're doing it again. Just right now, stick this landing. You were an MVP a year ago. You were going to be the one that never did gradually decline.
Wow.
Make that monster Hanzus right. You have 15 games to make it all right, to feel like a god again, to make this slow start a preface to another sports doc that not most people probably won't finish, but 15 starts, and then you start
15
worrying
parts.
about everything else.
Very good.
Oh my goodness.
Very good, Greg.
Powerful.
That was great.
I sensed a trope alert there. Were you telling Tom Brady to simplify his life?
I was just saying, like, there's noise and disaster behind you, in front of you, but right now
Purify.
on the field is like where you are, Tom Brady, where you're a god.
Simplify
That's all that matters.
It's very
the
zen.
life playbook.
Just
Focus
just
on
that's it. That's
the
it.
moment.
Be
It's
present.
nice. That's tough love. I know he's an important figure to you.
It was
Hey,
holistic
that's what I
advice
want
by
out.
Greg.
That's
That
what
was-
I want.
Are we seeing a little bit of gradual decline this year?
Well, that's what I am fearing.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want the landing to be stuck. He could have done it. Last year was close enough.
Almost. All right. I will give a pep talk to Kirk Herbstreit. Surprising, I know. The
I'm intrigued.
color man of Thursday Night Football, presented exclusively by Amazon. NFL Plus, man.
On
Yeah,
mobile.
that too.
On mobile only. I want to talk to you, Kirk, about Al.
Oh, no.
Al Michaels, of course, who is a treasure, but also is entering a phase of his public and most likely his private life that appears to be putting you in a difficult position. To put it bluntly, he is a soon-to-be 78-year-old loose cannon who could use the gentle guidance of a friend or a colleague he respects. If you're like me, you had a grandfather or two who reached this stage of life. You know, they pop the hood on the mainframe and flip the switch to DGAF. You might be wondering at this moment why I'm not giving this pep talk to Al himself. But that would be missing the core element of the issue. There's nothing I can say that will do anything to dissuade Al Michaels from wandering in a wildly cavalier manner into naughty sociological matters like gender, race, politics, the power dynamics of the most influential figures in the civilized world.
Has he brought up religion yet?
Probably. Al is going to talk about this stuff. Al going to shoot from the hip. And it's going to put him and perhaps all of us, we don't know how high this can go, in grave danger. All I ask, Kirk, is that you talk to him, you take him to Moon Shadows in Malibu, you have 3 cocktails, get a driver, and let him know that he is in the victory lap, kind of like Tom Brady, of an unparalleled broadcasting career. We'd hate to see it end with an unceremonious dismissal or even worse, a missing persons report. 77-year-old man last seen challenging Jeff Bezos on his own network.
Wow. That same figure that popped up to warn Sessler is going to be warning Al Michaels.
I don't know if Al Michaels would listen to anyone at this point, including Herbstreit, but he does. He does spend
better chance
time
than
with
us,
Herbstreit.
Right?
Absolutely.
He does engender
Certainly a better chance than me.
respect. He seems like a very calm individual. I also would say, like, get some sleep, Kirk. His schedule is brutal right now.
Right,
he's
but
got the
he
game
has-
Saturday night. He's
doesn't
got
have
the
time to
game
sleep.
day.
He's
got
he made that
Thursday.
decision
It's also
already.
called multiple streams of income, so there is some.
that's great.
He made his decisions. I'm sure he's happy with them. He sleeps on a pile of money, I'm sure, Kirk. But we need his help, basically.
Yeah, that's fair.
Mark, before we get to Thursday Night Football and the Saints and Cardinals, I think you had a pep talk to share.
There is a link to TNF, and so I want to talk to Kyler Murray. And you know, I feel like we've talked to Kyler Murray a lot, but sometimes people need to stick with him. You can't just say, "Oh, I've talked to you once 3 months ago." You're days away from an island game. The entire country, multiple countries, multiple nations, kingdoms, The Hague, the Netherlands will be zoned in on. It's you they're coming to see. So which you will they see? Which Cardinals team? Are there multiple versions of you? Other versions? Is there another Cardinals team within? Beyond what you've gifted us with so far? A disorganized, melting product on offense that looks entirely unsure of what it wants to be? I've seen the studies that I dismiss, about how your play ebbs and flows depending on whether Call of Duty has staged a gaming event the weekend of the game. Now, this season alone, the Call of Duty Max Double XP weekend in Vanguard or Warzone unfolded. The Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 beta weekend unfolded.
Oh, shoot.
The Call of Duty Warzone Double XP weekend, all unfolding during this football season. But here's the thing. You can go game all you want. It probably does affect, but I can't control that the same way we can't control Al Michaels. I don't really think it has much to do with you, the player. But you, the player, and you as part of this offense are wanting.
Whoa.
You are wanting.
Ouches.
Crumble to the Saints and very real changes are coming to this organization, and you are the asset they will cling to. What is it they're clinging to? Who is Kyler Murray? Come show us. Come show us who you are on TNF, exclusively on Amazon Prime.
Right. Or
And NFL Plus.
NFL Plus.
And NFL Plus.
Only mobile, though.
Black Friday
And
game
mobile.
coming 2023.
Master Bezos, we hope we have given you joy, made you proud.
Great job, Mark.
Really nice.
These pep talks were negative at times. The Commanders one.
I don't know what you're talking
felt
about.
Like,
that was just an attack.
And even the Kyler one is definitely hitting him with some hard
that's tough.
truths.
That's
that was
tough
hard.
love.
Yeah, it was tough.
Tough.
Love.
I mean, we've
Colleen's
tried to
was-
kick
I guess
with
Tom.
Kyler
I gave
Murray.
Tom some
Yeah.
tough love, but
Con Petty and the Heartbreakers over here. But
All right,
that
well,
was
I had
tough
10
love.
minutes to write it before this started, so get off my back.
it was great. It was amazing. It was just the tone I wanted.
Good, see?
That's
See
how I
happy Greg
show
is?
love. I don't
It was
know any
surprising.
other way.
All I
It's
wanted.
just to
You're a
be
Philly
mean.
girl.
We've
You're a
done
Philly girl.
1,237 shows. All I'm looking
that
for
true?
is a surprise, and that was a surprise.
I got you.
All right, here we go.
I love this game. I don't care that they're both 2-4.
I'm sure you do. You love every game.
No,
Greg.
no, that's not true. But they're interesting 2-4s to me.
All right, the Saints. Okay, I'll buy that. I'm in on that. And we don't know who's the quarterback as of right now.
Probably Andy Dalton. He was taking the first
All right.
team reps on Tuesday.
There you go.
Probably.
So most likely Andy Dalton will make his fourth start for the Saints when they travel to Glendale, Arizona to face the Cardinals, a team, as you just heard with Mark, that really needs their quarterback to step up. But it's, Connie, it's not just on Kyler, of course. It's on the coaching and the scheme and an offense that just has no explosiveness to it, despite having a highly explosive quarterback. Robbie Anderson's in the building. We'll see how much he can give them on this short amount of time getting ready for his first game. Probably just go deep. A couple of those.
Go routes. Just
But
go.
here you go, Saints and Cardinals in primetime.
Yeah, look, we've covered the Cardinals' problems, but the offense, like specifically the decisions that are being made when this team gets into even like field goal territory, they're still going for it on 4th down, and they're leaving all of these points on the field because they're not converting. I mean, they didn't convert on 3 4th downs against Seattle in field goal territory. So that's points on the field. And then the defense is having to play from behind, and they can't sustain that either. So when you have your kicker missing extra points, I mean, there's just problems top to bottom. I don't know how much DeAndre Hopkins is going to help the team. Maybe he comes back and everything is like, working fine, even with Marquise Brown out.
He was a little up and down last year, but had some ups.
And got busted for using performance-enhancing drugs, so now that's hypothetically out of his system, so his performance is no longer being enhanced as a age 30 wide receiver. Just a general fly, Mark.
No, I think that's fair. I mean, Rondale Moore's been used a ton. In theory, I'd say if Hopkins, you got a good version of Hopkins, let's say Robbie Anderson does simple things and hits the ground running, and Rondale Moore is used creatively. I like the idea of them.
Ertz.
I mean, like, they've just been we talked about on Sunday, such a horizontal passing attack. I mean, Kyler Murray, like in that last game, had like a 4.5 yards per attempt or something. It's absurd. They're not using these players correctly. And this is a chance for the offense to turn around. I don't know if it's going to happen against the Saints defense, but I've just seen how disorganized they are. If you're Cliff Kingsbury, you came into this league and no one knew what we were going to see. And it was successful out of the gate, but you've been proven incorrect that you're bringing something that's special and sustainable.
So Murray's averaging 5.8 yards per attempt. That's one of the lowest of any quarterbacks in the league. It's by far the lowest of his career. And I thought it was interesting. He told the broadcast team last week, I want to start running this week. And then he ran for 100 yards, and it was so helpful. And it was a big part of the offense, him scrambling, some design runs. And before that, in 5 games, he had run for 123 yards. It's just like everything seems erratic. Like, okay, let's have Kyler start running again. It's just like there's not great planning. Now, this matchup could work. They did lose Justin Pugh for the season, who's one of their starting offensive linemen. Rodney Hudson hasn't been playing lately, and their offensive line really struggled against Seattle. They've been up and down this year, but they really struggled a week ago, and now they have more injuries. They're going up against the Saints, who are now 19th in DVOA on defense. They're just average. Like, it is not working. The secondary, we killed them for trading Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who your Eagles are loving right now after a couple picks. It just felt like a disorganized move of hubris, and their secondary went from total team strength to weakness so fast. And some of that's injuries. Maybe they get back Marshawn Lattimore, but some of it's just personnel. Tyrann Mathieu is struggling. The team doesn't tackle really that well. I think the Cardinals should be able to move the ball. The Saints defensive line has been erratic too. Like, some games Cam Jordan looks amazing, old school Cam Jordan. Marcus Davenport had a good week last week, but they're a team you can run on too, so I'd expect to see a lot of those little scoots, those little Kyler Murray scoots, which are fun to watch. Like, when you watch them run for 100 yards last week, you're like, oh, let's do more of this. That was amazing.
Yeah. Mark, your thoughts?
I mean, I provided some previous.
I thought you had some more.
No, I think, like, if anything, the Cardinals. So that first week,
that Yankees game is starting in a couple minutes.
I'm concerned with your time, but their defense.
I don't have any major things to add.
Better. Like, they've not given up over 23 points since that Week 1 destruction against the Chiefs, and I think that's something you can point to. J.J. Watt's been pretty good. Budda Baker, Zach Allen, like, they've got some pieces. And I think the Saints' offense has been erratic, too. The one thing that's working a little bit if it's Dalton in there, he's getting the ball to Kamara a lot through the air, and that was not happening with Jameis Winston. But they're missing a ton of guys on offense right now.
How many of these wide receivers are they going to have back? Because
Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry have not practiced.
They're going to be out.
Andres Pete is out. Adam Troutman, your tight end. I don't know. Is Marshawn Lattimore playing?
They still moved the offense, though.
Right. They scored 26 points against a really good defense without their top 4 receivers.
Right.
Actually, Andy Dalton, I think, has played even better than, like, the Dalton line that you would have expected. I think Saints fans are like, okay, like, because there's an argument whether you play Jameis or Dalton. This has been a better version of Dalton than I expected, but it's been in a tough spot. And like Mark said, it's actually a tough matchup this week, and the Cardinals have been playing better.
There's more, it does seem like the jigsaw puzzle of this offense for New Orleans. It makes a little more sense with Dalton in concert with Taysom Hill. I kind of like that vibe. I think I'd be surprised if they went away from it. But this is also, I am just concerned. I got to say I'm concerned about the Cardinals at their state on a short week, now trying to add a wide receiver. And
Olave probably will return, by the way.
Okay, that's good.
One coming back.
Bringing back DeAndre Hopkins. I just don't trust the Cardinals not to look like a mess in this game and be disjointed trying to put these pieces together on a short week. I hope I'm wrong. Just talked about Al Michaels. Part of the reason he's going nuts is because, all these games are so up and down and, quite frankly, bad, in my opinion, these last 2 weeks. I think the Saints have a good matchup here. I think the Saints, it's an important game for them. They've lost 4 of 6
do it?
to start the season. I will not be locking up the Cardinals. I don't like
actually
to lock
thought
up
about
Thursday
it.
night. Thursday night's too wonky for me. I like to stay away typically, but
also it ruins your going into the weekend. You've already lost your lock. Like, what are you doing?
Well, unless they win,
right? That's thinking negatively.
Why even get out of bed?
Exactly. I will think negatively about it.
Which offense do you trust more, though? Like, do you
Saints.
I just made my statement.
Saints
with a backup quarterback, down a bunch of receivers?
I mean, I trust Andy Dalton as much as Kyler Murray right now, and with the environment that Kyler Murray's in.
I think the Saints offense looks better.
Yeah, they've been getting some things going in the running game. Mark Ingram and Kamara, and then I swear the success rate of Taysom Hill plays this year is 1,050%. I don't every Taysom Hill play feels like it's 12 yards automatic. More Taysom Hill. Let's do it. Their offensive line is actually playing better lately. But the Saints, and Saints fans will push back on this a little bit. They are completely unpredictable. Every unit is completely different from one game to the next. Their strengths and weaknesses are different from one game to the next. And they're a team that finds ways to lose despite good things happening. They're 31st in special teams. But I have one stat I just have to get out here before we leave. It is one of the most amazing stats.
You guys are more worried about me rushing than I actually am, but that's fine. Keep going.
Oh, okay. I'm not worried. I just figured I've hit my quota of
We're only 1/4
here.
through this TNF preview day.
Yes,
we can stay for an hour.
I was about to throw it back to you again. You guys could go on for 3 hours. I won't be here.
The Cardinals last won a game in their home. Is it still State Farm Stadium? It's in Glendale.
So.
They're going to have a Super Bowl there. They last won a game at home on October 24th, 2021. That was a game against the Houston Texans that made them 7-0 last season. Remember that? They have not won a game there since. That's amazing. It's ridiculous. How is that possible?
I don't know.
Really?
I'm thinking back to the Friday Fun Show last week when I was asked why I hate the Cardinals. It's stats like that. This is just a wandering, lost team right now with a front office and coach. They just all got extensions, and everybody was celebrating. And everyone that follows the sport was wondering, man, not only do we not know if this is the right combination for success, they just re-upped with all these guys. Well, you reap what you sow. I was about to just kill him for having Matt Amendola still as their kicker, which I couldn't believe he kicked last week. He's been struggling all season long. Matt Prater's back, so they actually waived Amendola to make space for DeAndre Hopkins. I was going to say Will Lutz is an underrated kicker. That would have been a big. This game screams to me 1917 because of what we've seen on Thursday night, and scoring in general is down in the league and everything else that's going on right now. The kickers make a big difference.
I'm going to go 25-23 Saints just to give a little more points for Al. I just want to think positive.
Give some points to Al.
One of these teams to me is very much in this stew in the NFC with a 3-4 record, but one of these teams is like the spiral and the coaching questions, and there will be many for Dennis Allen too if they lose. We'll all start if they lose. So it's a sneaky big game.
Yeah, give me 19-17 Saints.
What happens to Al and by linkage, Kirk Herbstreit, if the Cardinals win this game, as I predict 3-0?
No, do not put that out there.
Well, now it won't happen, but I could see a strange.
Their defense has played great.
Game.
What was that article we read?
Would be happy.
We read an article by Dan Bickley, who's like a longtime columnist, maybe the most influential guy in Arizona, who all but said fire Cliff Kingsbury and hire Vance Joseph if they lose this game.
The DC, who's
was interesting,
done a good job.
And there's some other media members in the Arizona, sphere that are kind of really putting the heat on the Bidwells to make a change already. I don't think that's going to happen.
They just handed out extensions to everybody.
It's not gonna happen.
I don't know if
It was
matters.
a weird move when it happened.
They're at least gonna wait till after the season.
I mean, this is the same team that also drafted a quarterback in the top 10, then drafted a quarterback in the top 10. I guess anything's possible.
They did do the right thing
But
there.
that's a huge acknowledgement of failure if they fire Cliff Kingsbury before the end of the season even. Let alone 2 years from now, it would be, all right, that's enough.
Well, get excited for TNF.
Saints won't let this game be boring, I promise. Their games are not boring this year.
I'm not worried about the Saints.
They're
Honestly, I'm not worried about
weird.
the Saints. I think the Saints will give us something to root for. We need the Cardinals to step up. That's
maybe
another
Hopkins
pep
will be
talk.
good.
Yeah.
Hey, Cards, we believe in you. Well, we already got Kyler's covered. We got the Cards covered.
Right.
He's motivated. It's going to be a great
TNF
game.
invites ultra weirdness. So I think the Cardinals will be also.
Let's have some JJ
That is
Watt.
what I like about
some
it.
JJ Watt shots of like him firing up his teammates. Like, let's go get Watt back in the mix.
All right. I love your enthusiasm for the sport. Anything else? Colleen, you've said it
Big night of baseball.
all. Ooh, the Phils. The fighting Phils.
That's right.
Against the San Diego Padres.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited.
Wow, that is
can't wait.
it's a big night in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Opening night for
Sixers,
NBA.
Sixers are tipping
Celtics,
off.
Too. What a day of American sports.
Uh-huh.
Mark, what's your choice? You have what a buffet of sports outside the NFL
check out at least
sphere.
I'm going to check out part of this Yankees game so that I can
Cleveland.
understand what you're going through.
Cleveland.
I'm not a
Siciliano, by the way.
I'm not a Guardians fan.
Siciliano, who I really like, Andrew. He's a really good dude. He is a very serious Guardians Cleveland sports fan.
Yep.
And he was not even down to talk about the circumstances behind the rain out and a potential Yankee conspiracy. He's one of those dudes, and I loved it. And either way, it's like I'm tiptoeing around Siciliano, win or a loss, because he either is going to be gloating potentially or very salty.
He talked to me about it in the office and gave me the lowdown because I made it clear I'm not a baseball.
I would love to hear
now, does he
the
think
debrief.
so? They
between
are
you guys.
the Yankees and commissioner. They conspired.
No, he did not say that.
With higher authorities to bring rain into the New York area. Is that is their power?
No, to rain out, to essentially postpone a game that they could have gotten in yesterday, which then allowed certain advantages to present themselves. You could have started the game at 10 p.m. or something.
You could have done a 2.5 hour delay or something.
Though. That's ridiculous.
I mean,
Hey, talk to Siciliano about it.
Well, they gotta be playing at 1 a.m. Kids can't watch these games
right.
anyways,
See,
as it is.
Now I'm missing the game to talk
Yeah.
about
I know.
it
All right,
again.
all right,
And
all right.
that
Seems
just
like an
seems
absurd strategy.
unfair.
Gotta get out of
As
here.
the season goes on, often the hard outs become harder.
Thank you. Yeah, and you sat out that conversation. Rosenthal.
I'm Switzerland.
No, you're not.
Oh,
for the
yes,
first
always.
time in my
Whenever I
life.
think of
Yeah.
Gregg, I think Switzerland.
We'll be back on Thursday with the Thursday night what do we do on Thursday?
Our preview show.
We do have a
preview
preview
show.
show.
Yes, we preview all the games, and then, of course, Thursday night. We used to do a recap. I don't even know what's happening anymore.
I know.
Friday Fun
we're
Show
gonna do
will
that on
recap
Friday.
the
Yeah.
Thursday night game we just previewed. That's it. Till then, Dan Hanzus signing off for The Quiet Storm. Come on. You got it. There it is. Gravedigger. What's up, Gravedigger? We didn't hear from you today.
Oh, hey.
What? What?
I can't do it at the same time.
Oh!
Great job on the Monday night recap there, Gravedigger.
Heed the call!